So I was reflecting on how miserable and frustrated I was struggling to get rid of my belly fat. I was doing all the things. I was extreme dieting, I was doing extreme exercise, I tried fasting, I tried this, I tried that. And I was like, this is never going to happen for me. I've had 7 kids. Who am I kidding? And in the end, I made my peace with it until I came across some science on how to eviscerate it. And it worked. And what's crazy is that it continued to work for me through my 40s and into my 50s, when all around me I had friends who had stayed slim, who had always had their healthy diet, who had always had their exercise regime locked in, and they were looking good, never cellulite, no fat, no nothing. All right. And suddenly they're complaining to me, heck, I've reached this age, I'm just getting belly fat on top. What is going on? They weren't doing anything differently. Literally, their bodies were not cooperating anymore. So I'm going to share what I told them and what helped them, what I did for myself, and I'm going to give it to you in a plan to really once and for all get rid of that belly fat fast. Keep in mind, tackling belly fat is made up of several elements. Okay, the science background that you need to know. First, it's essential that you understand what belly fat is, because then you will feel confident that you can get free of it. Essentially, it's a mix of toxins, glucose, and insulin, and having too much of the two hormones, cortisol and estrogen. This mix is created from and triggered by several factors. For example, a change in your hormone balance, stress, whether you're exposed to a bunch of toxins that inadvertently you've done to yourself, like your hair products, cleaning products, air fresheners, stuff sprayed on your food, even food supplements marketed as weight loss or muscle building. But whether it's hormones, toxins, or both, basically all of this is swamping your body in more than it can effectively process. And of course, the most obvious reason for belly fat is the high carb, high sugar, low fiber, meaning not enough vegetables, standard Western diet, where we're bringing up our glucose and insulin to levels to such a degree that our cells are so flooded that they literally don't know what to do with the excess, so they store it as belly fat. So, how to fix it and fix it fast? The first thing I want to tell you is yes, it is totally doable. Before you jump into this, though, implement it into your life, be sure to follow my instructions on the how part of implementation covered at the end of this video. If you don't do the how part, it will not work for you seriously, and I will explain why, and you will have an enlightening moment. Okay, so number one, step one, and I'm going with the most unsexy part first, which is chemical elimination. As I mentioned, two of the contributors to belly fat are toxin and estrogen. Now, I don't want to get too bogged down in the science here, but it's critical that you understand this. You need to limit and prevent accidental ingestion of estrogen mimickers and disruptors in every way that you can, whether it's through your skin or whether you're eating and consuming it. Estrogen mimickers are chemicals that your cells think are estrogen, and when you're exposed to many of them, you've guessed it, your body says, well, I don't know what to do with all this, so I'm going to end it, I'm going to put it in your belly and store it as belly fat. I just mentioned a few of them, but I also want to remind our men folk that this also applies to their grooming products, and also particularly to the consumption of beer. Beer has a lot of estrogen. It creates that sort of glutinous bloating known as the beer belly that we see in guys, as well as those man boobs. So the first step is you need to spend some time and allocate going through your house and scanning everything for any potential toxic and chemical disruptors that are estrogen mimickers. For hell with this, you can look up how to eliminate chemicals from your life. But if you would like me to create a video walkthrough on this topic, I'd be happy to do it. Just write eliminate chemicals in the comments below and I will get that recorded for you. But before I move on to the next step, let me again make this very clear. The deep dive into what in your world is triggering those estrogen mimickers is an essential part of identifying what's creating this extra fat. So I know from my clients, this is a bit they like to skip. You can't do that. No skipping. You've got to get it done. Okay, step two. That's what we call in step 2 the carb 50 with a 3Ps protocol. Be clear, this isn't keto. This is a strategic strategy to detoxify your system. We're reducing the amount of carbs we are consuming by combining and drilling down as well with the 3Ps, which I'm going to explain about in a moment. Here's how it works. You reduce your carbs to a daily amount of net 50 carbs, okay? But remember, not less. This isn't keto, okay? 50 is the magic number. By doing this, there's nothing to spike your blood sugar levels. Because remember, with the science, if you flood your blood sugar levels, it's going to be overwhelmed and they're going to create and make it into belly fat. Transparently, this can feel like a big ask. I know it was for me to drop to that 50 grams. And remember, this is not a forever diet. This is specifically to hit your belly fat until it is reduced. Okay, so don't worry, it's not forever. You can, if you enjoy it, you get the benefits. That's something that you can do, but it's not forever. This is difficult because most people are on a Western diet. They're usually on 250 grams of low quality inflammatory 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 carbs. Okay, so again, that's why I'm reminding you that you need to go to the end of this video and you must do the implementation part. Okay, and secondly, if you are a person with a complicated relationship with food like I was and had sugar dependency, chronic cravings, overeating, or a binge eater, then I really, really recommend that you take a gut check moment on whether this is the healthiest thing for you to do mentally right now. I'm not saying don't follow these guidelines, but you can use them more loosely or come back to them when you're ready. All right. I don't want you to get too hung up on the 50 net gram carb. That is what's going to work for you. But remember, we need to keep our mindset healthy. And again, I refer you to the end part on the implementation, and you will see why I'm saying this so passionately right now. Okay. Um, if you do struggle with anything like that, then again, I've dropped my link to my 4-part overeating cravings YouTube series down below. So you can nip over to there and watch that as well. So you've got all the bases covered. Okay. When we're dealing with dropping down to 50 grams of carb, we need to be wise and we need to follow some protocols. So yes, nailing that 50 grams immediately is what works. But again, side note, let's be real here. This is a practice and it can be tough to do straight out the gate for a timed period. So what I want you to remember is that you can hit 150 net carbs and also see a lot of difference, especially if you're really focused on 100% made up, those carbs being 100% made up of the low impact P carbs, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. Listen, I just don't want you to get stressed in a stress state of mind on this because it's going to be counterproductive. Okay. I know that other teachers and mentors out there are like, yes, you have to be strict. This is what's going to work. But we need to work with what we can cope with. That's how we get results. Okay, so enough of me preaching. So not all carbs are created equally. And I discovered that switching to the 3P slimming carbs makes all the difference. So before I go any further on this, if you're at a point that you desperately want to get rid of your belly fat for good, I've created a free food classification master list ebook to guide you through. So you can just look at it, refer to it, and you'll know exactly what to do. And I'm dropping that down in the link below. So comment, give me the guide, and I'll make sure that you get access to that. Okay. So on we go. In transparency, it can take a moment to get your head in the game. As I said, I know I keep reiterating this because my clients, myself, like that's what we've had. Wow, 50 grams of carb, but it's much easier than you actually think it's going to be. So you'll need to factor in some time to scan through what you eat and identify what you're currently up to and identify the net carb amounts and make swap outs or alterations. Makes sense, right? There are apps that can help you with this. That I'm not plugging them or anything, but I'm just saying like MyFitnessPal, Lose It, Calorie Counter, by Health Aid. But remember, if you're desperate for some refined carbs for your 50 net, So if you want, some toast or something, so two slices will come in at 28 grams of net carb. Then you must follow the protocol that I am always drilling you on, if you are familiar with me, which is, if you're going to have that type of high starch carb, you must pair it with some healthy fat or protein or fiber. Fiber is your best option to avoid the blood sugar level spikes. All right. Inflammation equals belly fat. All right. Now on to the 3 Ps. So the 3 Ps are the power brokers of your gut. 1, probiotic foods, polyphenol foods, and prebiotic foods that all go into feeding the microbiomes so that it can break down those mixes of toxin, estrogen, and the estrogen mimickers that are making up that belly fat. Okay, so they stabilize your blood sugar level, as well as, and this is another key point I want you to remember, as well as support your liver. Your liver is a fat burning organ and a detoxification organ. So we really want that firing on all cylinders. So again, just to remind you, I put my free food classification list. You can access it below. Just put free food classification list down below, and I will make sure that you get that. Okay, so I didn't want to go on about it all long here because there's a lot to get through, but that will give you the clarity that you need. Okay, so on to the next step. The next step follows on from number 2, which is, in general, we want you to really be prioritizing eating leafy green vegetables and lots of salad produce. Okay, so the sciencey bit. Raw vegetables feed and fuel a part of our microbiome called the estrogen. I'm still getting tongue-tied. Um, and that enables the bacteria to grow really, really strong. And that's the bacteria that is focused on breaking down specifically estrogen, which is what we want. When you combine high carb living with a lack of eating vegetables, so you're not eating enough fiber, the bacteria, this lovely bacteria in your gut, it just literally doesn't have the fuel and energy to break down that estrogen. The excess estrogen won't clear your system. So guess what? Yes, you got it. We're back to storing it as belly fat. Okay. Okay, so on to the next step. So now we're building on our foundation of the 50 net daily carbs with a focus on the 3 Ps. Okay, the probiotics, the polyphenols, and the prebiotics. Then we're making sure we're getting enough fiber. Now, when we've done that, the next step is now to look at the fiber that we are eating successfully, and we've prioritized it. And now we're going to incorporate in that fiber, we're going to focus on bitter foods. All right. So we're going to zero in on the fiber that we have, and we're going to make sure we have plenty of bitter foods. But why? Well, first of all, they reduce sugar cravings. So that's a win for me as an ex-sugar dependent. But because also bitter foods support your liver. And as I said, the liver is your major organ of detoxification. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, toxins lead to you storing belly fat, which is why step 1 was your chemical elimination. And really, it's mind-blowing to think that we're breathing in toxins, we're putting toxins on us, we're eating toxins, and so we really need to focus on the power broker will eat and mop up all those toxins that in some way are getting into your system. Okay, and so again, I keep repeating it. If you need the guide with that has this whole classification of all the foods that you need in what order, then again, click the link below and you will get that copy of that. On to step 5, which is increase your protein. So you've been taking some time to introduce these steps into your daily life. You're well informed and in a flow. The next step is we're going to uptake your protein. In my video, The Truth About Protein and Weight Loss, I talked about the fact that most of us are drastically under-eating this hero nutrient-dense food type. Eating enough protein has so many positive outcomes, one of them being that it helps us keep our metabolism revved in a fat-burning mode, by enabling us to hold on to muscles through the weight loss process. As I always underscore to you, it's one of the key factors in body recomposition, speeding up and sustaining weight loss and breaking up overeating and, yes, you guessed it, those sugar cravings. The general idea is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. I'll drop the studies below. But here's the thing. If you need to lose belly fat fast, are metabolically unhealthy, and have a lot of weight to lose, you must stick to steps 1 to 3 first in the first 3 weeks. If you do not initially, you will gain more weight, okay? So if, again, you want to lose the belly weight, you've got to play by the rules of chemistry first, okay? So just put a hold on that. Just do the first steps and then come into the fifth step at about 3 weeks. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is we're going to eviscerate your body fat, but your belly fat by starting to incorporate HIIT. HIIT is high intensity interval training into your weekly schedule. Now, hold on. I want you to hear me out on this one because when I talk about HIIT, it brings out very strong reactions in people. They either love it or they hate it. And there is some conflicting information out there, especially for those of us over 40 and especially women 40 plus or like me in my 50s. And so there are some really strong do's and don'ts, which I'm going to break down for you as well. Okay, so what is HIIT? The concept is for you to push yourself to your max for X number of seconds, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but X number of seconds, and then you take a rest for say 15 to 90 seconds, and then you do this on repeat for about 15 to 20 minutes. It's designed to get your heart rate to go up and down continually. There is proven science about how great this is for you, and I'll drop the studies for that down below. But it's to trigger your fat burning metabolic rate, and to keep it triggered, guess what? Beyond your exercise workout. Don't you love that? And this is because the studies showed that a HIIT spike in participants, their metabolic rate went for as long as 24 hours after they finished their session, as opposed to people who were trying to walk on a treadmill or run for the same pace for like an hour, where as soon as they finished that, they just went back to their pre-workout state. All right. It did not keep their oh my God, today, metabolic burn. It did not keep it. All right. So it really is a benefit. The second benefit is that it triggers the production of human growth hormone by as much as 530%. My God, while you're actually doing that HIIT. So the higher levels of human growth hormone, the healthier, the stronger, and the more youthful you will be. It is such a plus. Also, HIIT is such a wonderful thing for people who are living super busy lives like you and I, juggling work, family, responsibilities. It's such an efficient way to drop body weight and especially belly fat weight. But, and here's the but, if you're someone from my generation working out in the 2000s, you might remember that was the HIIT era where everything was like go hard. It was the whole beach body thing. It was Sean T's Insanitin. He was shouting at you, go harder. Let's do it. And I was doing those workouts 5-6 times a week. Heck, there's even a video of me doing it when I was just about to give birth. But transparently, doing it so much did cause me a lot of injuries, and also it halted my weight loss. And I know that does sound counterintuitive to the research I've just been sharing with you, right? But at the time, I didn't know about burnout, and I didn't know that it triggered elevated cortisol levels that my body couldn't get rid of, right? So again, this loops back to what I was sharing with you at the beginning of this video, which is belly fat is also stress, the hormone cortisol, where it's literally called stress tummy belly fat. And I'm going to talk about the solutions around this so you can do HIIT, but prevent that belly fat because you're stressed, if that makes sense. Um, and I really want to particularly stress to my perimenopausal and menopausal ladies out there that we do really need to guard our energy. We need to guard our thyroids, our adrenals, our hormones, and every activity we do should be in support of these hormone changes because of the way they do impact our body and the way our body responds to it at this age. Okay, so where does that leave us? Well, the fact is that HIT benefits us all. And if we customize it and apply it in the correct way to ourselves in the individual, then it's a win for us. And that's because of the hormetic effect, a biological term meaning that a low to moderate dose of a substance or a stressor does initially produce a benefit and adaptive effect. So in this case, a micro dose of HIT is actually going to do us good. And as long as we listen to our bodies and follow some guidelines, we are going to be cushy. We're going to be fine, and it's going to burn that belly fat. And I'll go over those in just a second. What I want to say to you is that one of the most common misunderstandings of HIT, which is causing these problems, and also has now got people to stop doing it and therefore not get the benefits, is that it's become so associated with only body weight exercises, like push-ups, burpees, mountain climbers, high knees, jumping jacks, and so on, where you're just going, so crazy, so fast. And for people who haven't been active or are overweight, and people like some of my clients who've come to me with joint pains or full-on arthritis and are just coming out of my arthritic healing module part of my program, the thought of jumping and bouncing around, it doesn't feel doable and puts them really at greater risk of strain and injury. But the solution to that, which is in actual fact more effective when you look at the studies, is that you can use a rowing machine, you can use like a bike, like a Peloton bike, sprint on an elliptical, you can do water running, you can do upper body boxing moves, you can incline or hill walk, you can also perform weight loss bearing exercise with kettlebells or dumbbells, utilizing swings, clean and presses, squat thrusts. As I said, I'm going to loop back to all this in a moment. But by doing that, you are not getting those joint pains. You're not having to do, what feels like crazy up and down, but you still get the benefit. The point is that you can absolutely use lower impact activities to achieve your HIT goal and reap those belly fat burning rewards. The problem with HIT is it's often not begun or continued mindfully by most of us, but especially by trainers and also by we ladies in midlife, because sometimes we keep going and it's obviously costing us. All right, so let's look at the best protocols for HIT success that are science backed, and we'll take you through it in a healthy, positive way. So the first one is 45 seconds of activity to spike your heart rate. That's it. Pause for 15 seconds and then you can go back and get your heart rate up. Okay, so back and forth, back and forth. 15 to 45. 15 to 45. We want to do 15 to 20 minutes per session. That's the next one. And 1 to 3 days a week, but do not do more than 45 minutes within each week. Okay, so just don't go over that allocated time. You can do 3 sets of 15, whatever, but do not do over 45 minutes of HIT for the entire week. That's very important that you take notice of that. Also, make sure that you do not do your strength training on the same day that you do your HIT. And of course, when you are doing HIT, be careful to prioritize proper form, gradually increase the intensity, and always warm up and cool down thoroughly. Listen to your body. Also, remember, intensity is relative. Just because someone is going like the clappers, so going fast in English, doesn't mean you have to too. It's all relative to you, where you are in your journey, okay? And I want you to remember, lastly, focus on quality over quantity. Don't push yourself too hard too quickly. Okay, So, the next step in combating belly fat is you're going to introduce weightlifting into your weekly routine. And before you put that hurdle in the way and think of 100 reasons why you can't do it, hear me out. Okay, step weightlifting. We all know that weightlifting is good for us. And here's the reason it's critical, really critical. I can't tell you how much in erasing belly fat is that when you have more muscle on your body, you have more insulin receptor sites. So your insulin, you become better insulin sensitive, meaning you're mopping up the glucose more efficiently and preventing any excess flooding into your bloodstream and then being stored as belly fat. Also, by focusing on strengthening your muscles, you create a hormone producing anti inflammatory storage place in your body. How amazing is that? And literally, as you're weight training, your muscles release an anti-inflammatory molecules. I mean, people, you have got to love that to beat the belly fat inflammation, right? And again, it produces human growth hormone, which is brilliant. And not to mention that it gives you a higher resting metabolic rate after doing it. That is so important because it's meaning that even when you're just lying in bed and asleep, you are burning more calories, right? So, my God, is that not a win-win? In fact, a huge study done over, I think it was like over a 12-year span of 10,500 folks of 40 and over at the Harvard School of Public Health found that all of the activities that people did, it was weight training that prevented belly fat. Fantastic if you are like me, 40 and up. Talk about motivation. They also saw that within this started the moment they started the weight training. Within 2 weeks, they saw the benefits of it. Only 2 weeks. Imagine, guys, what you can be feeling like 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 months. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So, I want you to start strength training, preferably 3 times a week. You can do up to five. You can do more if you really enjoy it and fancy it. I mean, I do. Okay. Also, your sessions only have to be into between 20 to 30 minutes for effectiveness. You don't need to go over that. And also, another really effective way of weight training is cardio strength training, which I do a lot, which is a mix of having cardio combined with weight training. Now, if you go and look that up and Google it, it will come up with exercises like cycling, running, but that is not what I am talking about. I'm talking about where you're using a dumbbell or preferably a kettlebell, and you're going to move through the exercises with timed breaks. So you could be doing 1 minute of squats, and then you take a break of say 15 seconds or 20 seconds, and then you go back and you swing the kettlebell, and then you do some push presses. I love this because I get so much bang for my buck, and it increases, I get the muscle strength, plus I get the increase in heart rate. In short, okay, you're using the challenging weight of the kettlebell in a circuit with those exercises, so it really does keep your heart elevated for a longer period of time. Kettlebell, I'm like really raving about kettlebells here. I should do a video on it. Holler kettlebells down below if you want me to. Kettlebell exercises use a lot of muscles during each movement. They strengthen your core, your forearms, your legs, and virtually every muscle in your body. And the more muscles we use that we use for oxygen, then the more fat we burn, and the more fat we burn for longer. So, like, literally, kettlebell workouts are the core magic of me getting back into shape after having my babies. 7 babies, for guts, this is crazy. I love it. And I didn't do not one single sit up. I just find them boring, truth be known. And they're also at the core of helping me balance my hormones from my 40s into my 50s. And listen, don't be put off of the idea because of the kettlebell, because it can feel scary. But listen, I have raised all of my 7 children to do kettlebell workouts. I did it right up to the day I gave birth. So you can do this. I promise. Like, just give it a whirl. Anyway, now On to the very serious section where I said to you that at the beginning, I said not to start my 7-step protocols to lose belly fat fast without carefully following my instructions on how to to correctly implement it into your life. All right. So I hope you remember that. We're circling back round, and here is the why. We're nearly at the end, guys. Stay with me. The science. We have 4 times the cortisol receptors in our deep abdominal fat than we do anywhere else in our body. Cortisol is the stress response. In short, stress equals visceral belly fat. Well, what's this got to do with anything, you're telling me? Well, here is why you will fail. If you're watching this step-by-step plan and you're like, I'm all in, I've got to do those things, I'm going to push myself to do that, I want to be team extreme, even if it's only the steps that are with you implementing the food section, even if it's not the exercise section, you are opening yourself up to potential overwhelm, which again may trigger cortisol and belly fat. And as we know, cortisol is belly fat. So I do not want you to do this, okay? We have all tried this, me included. It will not work. You cannot push your way through this. You cannot muscle your way through this. You've tried the extreme dieting, you've tried the extreme fasting, you've tried the extreme workouts, and the belly fat is not going anywhere because all of these activities are simply raising your cortisol. So let's stop that, guys. All right. I know this personally. I exercised more than my hormones wanted to, and I kept doing more of what wasn't working. And remember my slim fit friends suffering with belly fat now? It does not work. All right. Inadvertently, we've contributed to the problem. We just didn't know better. It's not our fault, but it's literally called stress belly and it caught up with us. So, as I've explained today, a level of physical stress is good for our body. We just don't want to overdo it. We want times when we get those little spikes of cortisol, but we want for it to come down naturally and have periods of rest, recuperation, and repair. All right. So from the get-go, commit to de-stress habits and protocols to bring your cortisol down. And there are simple ones, honestly, such as breathing exercises. And yes, it does feel, like I was a bit reticent about doing breathing exercises, but and it does feel a bit weird when you first started, but it has honestly amazing results. And I'll drop you some really great resources for breathing exercises down below as well for you to click on so you can use them for yourself. Also, go for a walk or go out into nature. It's been proven that going out into nature actually lowers your cortisol levels. And just like a weird, interesting note, the geeks of you out there actually was a study. I'll have to get it and put it in the down below. But it found that when they did a study on people of going out, people in the countryside compared to the urban cities, they found urban city people tended to have more belly fat than the ones out in the country. And they worked out it was because they were more outside of the concrete jungle. So get outside and go for that walk. All right, just a quick tidbit there. Also, do yin yoga. Oh my, yin, Y-I-N, yin yoga. This totally transformed my life. Story for another time, because as you know, I can talk. But it's great because you can sit down, you just lie down, you can do it in your PJs, you literally roll out your bed and do it. It's amazing. And you can start if you haven't stretched in like 100 years. I cannot tell you the impact what it did for me. I only ever do yoga with Cassandra on YouTube. No affiliation. She doesn't know who I am. She's just amazing. I'm like total fangirl. And she is just like the nicest person. I will put her link down as well. Also, you can try out meditation. And yes, I know that some of you are like, oh, it's hippie-ish. What can sitting down with my eyes closed do for me? But as I've shared with you today, weight loss is so much more about managing your stress and emotions than anything else because of the chemical reactions that triggers the stress in your body, which causes the weight gain on your tummy, which we've talked about. And meditation has been backed by dozens of peer-reviewed studies. which again, I'm going to drop in the links for you that geek out on that. I'm going to drop those links below as well. Let me tell you, these protocols work, all right? But if you're serious about losing that belly fat in the next 3 months for good and loving that body that you live in, all right? Because that's what I want for you. I want you loving the body you live in. I think good about yourself and you want to work with me directly, then please, by all means, get the free, look below, get the free consultation link below, and we'll get on a call and see whether we're good to work with each other. And if you're working on this alone, no problem. I want you to be prepared for the biggest hurdle that sabotages people with their belly fat loss, and that tends to be cravings. So don't ignore this next video. I will also put in the link below. It takes you through literally a step-by-step walkthrough, revealing all the science-backed tactics to stop cravings, overeatings, and especially at night, my friends. Honestly, guys, belly fat is not something that you have to live with. I promise you. Try this. I'm excited for you. It will work. Let me know in the comments. Try it. Let me know. Show me pictures. I'm so excited for you. All right. Thank you. This is a long video. Thank you for your patience. I'll see you next time. All right, darlings. Take care. Bye.